Hey everyone, welcome back to a happy Monday. Bitcoin was up, but the miners were down today. So what gives? We'll take a look at what's going on here with the difference, divergence in the two, how they acted today. We'll also take a look at a Hive update that we have. We have also is Bitcoin decoupling story on that, and then strategy buys more. We got quite a few things to take a look at. We'll get into the Q&As at the end. But as always, you guys know the drill. Not financial advice for entertainment only. Do your own research. Full disclosure below that. Hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. And let's get into Bitcoin, see what's going on here right now. So Bitcoin was up today nicely. It was up 2%, something. It was up, that's a new day. It was up 2.75% on the day. It closed at 87,522, which was nice. We battled with the 200-day simple moving average. One of those things that I said we could be battling with this for a little bit before we bounce above it. Right now we're battling with it again on the new day. If we zoom in here, we can see that we got above it like we did on Monday here, but on the new day for Tuesday, we are again battling with that. So we'll see if this holds or if it breaks through and actually closes above it tomorrow. That'll be interesting to see where that goes afterwards, right? Will we drop back down a little bit here, battle with this a little bit longer? I think that's going to be the case here, but we'll see. But I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin does, however, go up to like 93,000 in a short period of time here. Because when I'm looking at the chart here, going back to where we were, back last November, when prices were starting to go back up here, we do have a little bit of support, resistance, whatever you want to call it here, right around 92,400 or so, give or take. We have a couple touch points along the line here where it got to that spot, either got rejected or went above it. And we can see that right there. We had it once, right, where we closed right around there, and then we bounced off of it. We got another one spot right here. This was on December. We did the same thing here, and then we have a little bit here where we just kind of continue to go on it. So I think 92,000 is the magnet where we might have resistance at that point. If that blows through it, then we might be at 95,000. I think there's some support here and resistance at 95,000, roughly 700 or so. So those are the key levels that I'm watching right now, at least on Bitcoin. The markets were all down today. Gold was up today. Dollar was down today. It wasn't a great day overall in the markets, and as a result, the miners were down because of it too. We can see the Dow Jones was down 2.48%, the Nasdaq was down 2.5%, the S&P was down 2.3%, the Russell 2000 shares were down 2% as well, while Bitcoin and Ethereum were up, Doge were up as well. And then during the day, the miners were in the green in the morning until Bitcoin actually started going down here. We can see that on the 15-minute chart here. Right around there. So right around 9:15 in the morning or so, Bitcoin started to fall a little bit here, and the miners followed suit here when we look at the miners here shortly. Some miners kind of recovered, but then fell towards the end of the day, which was kind of surprising here. So what's going on there with Bitcoin and the miners? The only thing I can think of right now is just the dollar weakness, the markets being overall down. People are selling U.S. equities basically, right? A lot of... We don't have clarity, basically, in the markets right now with the tariffs. So I think that's playing an impact on all these things here right now. Just seeing what we're seeing across the board in the markets. The miners, same thing. The miners are not really following Bitcoin, at least not yet. But Bitcoin is kind of decoupling here. We do have a story on that we're going to touch on in a little bit. So that's kind of good to see there that Bitcoin might be seen as a safe haven, right? Kind of like gold as well. And that would be a good thing. But we'll see. We only have a couple of days here of it kind of decoupling. Actually, we have a couple of weeks here, actually. If we look on the weekly time frame on Bitcoin, we've had the last 3 weeks going up, where if you recall, we had that Trump tariffs announcement on April 2nd, and we started to go back up at that point. So kind of interesting that Bitcoin is kind of decoupling where the markets were actually going down. All right, they had a kind of bounce there on the first week or so, and then they continued to fall down. That was the Dow Jones, the Nasdaq, same thing, right? That's been falling. S&P, same thing, has been falling on it. While the dollar has continued to come down here on the Dixie. You can see that we're at 98.36 cents roughly right now, so that continues to fall here a little bit. While the U.S. 30-year notes were down on Monday, but they're up again here on the new day. 10-year notes, same thing. And then what else do we have here? Gold got a new all-time high again, continues to get a new all-time high. It's at 3,452. So that's kind of interesting there. So a lot of... It's a strange time right now in the markets. We haven't seen this in a long, long time, but that's kind of what's going on here. So I think it's the equities on the U.S. side are being sold off because of the uncertainty with the tariffs. Okay, let's go back here to the miners. Miners, like I said, if we look at it on like the 15-minute chart, you can see where they were going up on a daily chart. Let's go to daily chart on this one. Okay, so you see in the morning they were going up a little bit here, and then right around after, I would say 9:30, 10 o'clock, they started to fall, and a lot of them were falling. Bitfarms was down only 10%, while being up quite nicely in the morning hours. Was up almost like, I think like 5% almost at one point. And then it came back down here along with the other miners. BitTier kind of held strong as well throughout the day, being in the green, and then fell. On that one, it was down 0.26%. Cypher was down 1.27% on the day. Cleanspark was holding strong also. Got to like 4% being in the green, and then it came down being only down half a percentage points here, roughly. CORZ, same thing, down 3.62%. Hive was down just 0.67. Hut E was down 4.92%. IREN was down 1.43. Mara was down 2.92. Riot was down 2.63. And Wolf was down 4.26%. But some of these guys were actually in the green in the morning. The strange thing was MicroStrategy was in the red and then finally finished out in the green a little bit here. Towards the end of the day, it was up 0.18% only. Same thing with Galaxy. You can see how Galaxy kind of reversed, and while the miners were coming down, these two were actually going up in price here. Interesting to note. Smaller miners were also down for the most part, 5%, 1%. Digihost was up 3.4. DMG was up just a little bit as well. Mawson was down along with Canon was down. The Bitcoin ETFs continue to be down here on it. Bitcoin dominance does continue to increase here. This one shows 64%. Another chart that I have shows it at like 63%. Here it is, 63.5%. So Bitcoin dominance continues to go up, while all the altcoins and poop coins, as I call them, continue to go down there. So that's kind of interesting as well, that people are going more into Bitcoin than some of the other stuff that's more, I would say, risky, right? On that one. But yeah, that's kind of what we have here today. It's a weird day. Hopefully this reverses the trend here eventually when Bitcoin does get to like 92,000, 95,000, whatever it might be. I think that would be a good sign for them as well. But they could just follow the markets in general. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe it's going to take a lot more for Bitcoin to get to above 100,000 for these guys to actually start moving again, right? Plus, we have quarterly results coming up here in about, a week and a half or so, roughly. So some people are selling, possibly because of that, especially the ones that have a large hodl position, because they are going to be beaten down because of the FASB rules as well. So maybe that's part of it in a nutshell. All right, let's take a look at Bitcoin here for the month of April so far, and it is in the green. We're up 6.39%, which is kind of nice. So I think we may actually end up being in the green for April, which is going to be a nice thing to have, especially after the 2 red months that we've had prior. So that's looking good there. We also have MicroStrategy here buying more Bitcoin. So Strategy buys another 6,556 Bitcoin for 555.8 million. This guy is relentless, and so is Strategy, the company there. They are just going to continue to gobble up Bitcoin. I think I've read someplace that they now own, was like 2%, 2.something% of the Bitcoin supply out there that's live. That's pretty interesting there. And then here we go. Bitcoin, are we decoupling a little bit here? So Bitcoin holding near 87,000 while stocks slump, a strong sign of maturing BTC sentiment. So they're thinking that this could be a decoupling from what we've seen in the past year. There's some things I wanted to point out. So Bitcoin has surged to 86,000, marking a 2.3% increase in the last 24 hours as traditional markets declined, which is true what we saw. And an analyst suggests Bitcoin resilience may indicate a shift towards its perception as a safe haven asset amid stock market and dollar weakness. We also have a story that a large, I don't have the story in front of me here, but I read it today, that a large grocery store in Europe is looking to possibly accept Bitcoin as payment. So that's good there. We also are seeing, Russia and China possibly trading with Bitcoin for their oil and energy, whatever it might be there. So that might be pumping it as well for Bitcoin. But here's what we got on this story here. The crypto market's resilience is noteworthy considering that the S&P 500, Nasdaq, and Dow Jones have gone lower by 3.35%, 3.5%, and 3.27% respectively, making their way back down to the tariff-related lows of 2 weeks ago. Right? So we're seeing that. And was today's tandem rally in Bitcoin and gold merely holiday-driven noise or a meaningful shift towards Bitcoin as a safe haven asset? I think it's more of a safe haven asset potentially. At least I would like to think so. The latter would mark material change in how traditional finance views Bitcoin, analysts at crypto trading firm QCP Capital wrote. Right? And I kind of agree with that as well. Meanwhile, Lawrence McDonald, former head of U.S. macro strategy at French investment bank, I can't even pronounce that, Société Générale, said that it may be time to sell gold in favor of Bitcoin, right? We're seeing that definitely narrative change there, and Bitcoin has never held up this well with the VIX near 30. He posted on X calling Bitcoin's resilience a game changer. This is a strong sign of maturing Bitcoin market. Good news, obviously, and colossal encroaching fiat currency stress USD, right? So yeah, the USD is under pressure. It's been falling down here. Bitcoin is actually doing well against it, which is kind of what we haven't seen here in the past. And that is it. So, I mean, they talk about here also Trump demanding that Powell basically step down or he's going to get fired, or also lower interest rates now, arguing that there is currently a virtually no inflation. Well, currently there might be no inflation, but we'll have to see down the road if the tariffs have any impact on it. And that costs for many things are declining, okay? And then nevertheless, Trump said that there's a threat that the economy will slow down unless the Fed cuts rates. So we'll have to wait and see. We'll see what the Fed does in May. Will he cut rates or will he not lower rates? We'll have to wait and find out at that point. So there's that. So I thought this was pretty good. If we are seeing decoupling, we should continue to see Bitcoin go up in value while the markets possibly slump or go down. And that would be a clear indication for us, especially if Bitcoin gets above 92,000, close to 95,000, whatever it might be, possibly even this week. We'll have to wait and see. Right now, I posted a poll, excuse me, in the chat, and 68% of you guys are saying that Bitcoin could reach 92,000 this week. Right? If it continues going the way it is right now, yeah, I could definitely do that. But we do have resistance at the 200 simple day moving average, and then we have some resistance at 92,000. So we will see. All right. Gosh, my throat. Sorry. All right, let's take a look at Hive here really quick, and we'll get into your guys' Q&A. It's going to be a pretty short and sweet stream tonight. All right, so Hive Digital Technologies announces 100% completion of their first 100 megawatt infrastructure in Paraguay and strategic operational hire. So this is good. They're progressing quite nicely with the build out there. So Hive is pleased to announce the 100% completion of phase 1 infrastructure at its flagship Guayguzi facility in Paraguay, a 100 megawatt air-cooled data center backed by a fully energized 200 megawatt substation. So that's awesome. That substation is now energized. They can continue to build out there and get the additional 100 megawatts installed as well. In addition, Hive is proud to welcome Carlos and Anibal Torres as its new Paraguay operations and project manager. So that's good, nice there. Don't have any details on this gentleman. A key leadership hire as the company accelerates expansion in the region. Okay, so that's good. Paraguay Phase 1 energized, equipped, and scaling. So Hive has now completed construction and energization of the 100 megawatt Phase 1 infrastructure at the Guayguzi site, enabling capacity for 5 exahash per second of next generation ASIC miners. The company is currently operating 200 petahash of hash rate at the site using proprietary Buzz miners. So those are the miners I believe they partnered with, who was the company there? I'm trying to blank on the name, but it was one of those projects where they basically created their own ASICs there. With a total of 8,000 Buzz miners expected online by the end of April. And then initial deliveries of new generation ASICs, including Bitmain S21 Plus units, have begun arriving on site, with over 20,000 units expected before the end of May. The company expects to scale to 5 exahash in Paraguay and 11.5 exahash total hash rate across all operations by the end of Q2. So within the next basically 2.5 months roughly. End of the quarter is going to be June, end of June there. So that's looking really good. So that gets them to 11.5. That means they still have to install roughly 13.5 exahash in the next following quarter, in Q3, to get to 25 exahash target of theirs. Luke Rossi, Chief Operating Officer of Hive, stated, "We are executing with conviction. We aim to reach 25 exahash by fall of 2025, producing over 12 Bitcoins daily at current difficulty levels. With our Paraguay site energized and racking underway, Hive is positioned for a transformative year of growth," which I agree, right? One of the things I've said this before, one of the things I've harped on them was their lack of growth or a lack of ambition to grow more. And I love seeing what they are doing now here on this and actually accelerating their growth quite nicely, which is nice to see. Because before they were kind of hesitant to grow fast. And this time around, they're definitely spending the money to do it, which I like. Because you need to grow. If you're not growing in this space, you're basically dying a slow death as Bitcoin network hash rate increases and difficulty as well. And so you need to stay with it, basically, in order to grow here. But that's nice. So that's all we got here. They got a little bit about Carlos Perez. As an accomplished engineer with 15 years of experience in large-scale infrastructure and energy systems, With degrees in electronic engineering and civil engineering, Carlos has led digital transformation initiatives and energy deployment projects across Paraguay, including industrial-scale mining sites, smart grid infrastructure, and advanced electrical systems. So this is a good get. Nice job by Hive, right? If the guy's got that experience, that's awesome. That's what you need there. All right, so that's all I got for you guys, really, as far as what's going on here with Bitcoin. Not much happening with the miners other than Hive update here. We're towards the end of the month here. We should start seeing the Q1 results coming out. I think the first one to report is going to be Riot, I think. And then Hut 8 is after that, I believe, the 5th or I can't remember, 5th or 6th or 7th, I can't remember, in May. So they're coming up here. We're going to start getting into those information as well. So let's get into your guys' Q&A here. As always, if you guys could preface their questions with a question mark or a Q, I would greatly appreciate it. And I'm going to scroll my way up a little bit here to see if there's any questions that I missed. I know there's some questions that I missed along the way here as you guys have been, let's see, there we go. All right, so we got one from, where is it at? I saw a question come in here from, let's see, there it is, okay, from Neutrino. With all the chaos going on, which are your 3 best miners to invest today? I realize things can change. Thanks. The ones that I think are still the most undervalued right now, I think is Cleanspark. I think IREN as well. And then I would also say Mara right now. After that, I would go with like Bitfarms, Hive as well as those guys. BitDeer you could possibly even throw in there. They have a lot of hash rate coming online later on this year. But those are like the ones that I would be looking at right now, just based on what they're doing. Even Cleanspark and Marathon have done pretty well this year. From the beginning of the year, they're down the least out of all the miners, so I think there might be something to that, but they've also been beaten down more than last year, so maybe that's a result of that. All right. D. Royce has a question. I sold my miners with large hodl of Bitcoin on their balance sheets today and am buying pure miners tomorrow. Mara and a few others seem a bit risky until after Q1 earnings release. What say you? They might get hit on it, but maybe that price is already kind of priced in there a little bit on these guys, knowing that Bitcoin was down in Q1. So we'll have to wait and see what those numbers come in. They're going to be bad for Mara, for Riot, for Hut 8, for Cleanspark. All those guys are going to take a hit on the FSB rules for Bitcoin now. So they're going to have to mark that down on it. So they're going to take a hit. It'll be interesting to see what the miners actually come in as, what their EPS was without the FSB impact on it as well, right? Based on operations, were they actually able to get a positive EPS? I'm pretty sure IREN is going to be able to do that. Cleanspark is questionable for me right now. They have stated that they should get positive EPS without the FSB. So we'll see on that one. Some of the other ones are going to be a little bit tougher time getting there. But we'll see. But yeah, I mean, if you sold right now, I don't think there's an issue with that. I don't see an issue with you selling right now and buying some other ones maybe. And then just waiting until the Q1 results are coming out and then possibly buy the dip if we get one. All right. What else we got here? All right. Koala asks, what is the catalyst for Bitcoin miners to follow Bitcoin upwards trend? Bitcoin miners have down over 50%. Can they still catch up with Bitcoin? They can. There are times where the miners do run better than Bitcoin does. What is the catalyst that's going to make them do that? I don't know. I think clarity in the tariffs, possibly one thing. A little bit more, less uncertainty in the markets. I think that would drive things up for them as well, because they're kind of right now, at least what I'm seeing is they're being affected by that as well. You can see it in the markets being down. The miners are down as well. So that would help, I think. And then maybe if Bitcoin gets to above a certain degree or a certain price point, what that's going to be, I don't know, but I would think that eventually that would pull them up as well, because the revenue they're going to be generating is going to be much more from where it's at right now. So I would think that would be a catalyst also to watch out for. All right, BJ says, finally managed to get out of miners with profit, except Bitfarms, still slightly red on that one. Okay, nice. I'm still red on Bitfarms as well. I'm red on Bitfarms, IREN, and Mara, the little shares that I have there. Cleanspark, I'm still up around 40%. So I'm holding on to that one, and we'll see where the other ones go as well. But I'm betting that they're going to go back up. We just need Bitcoin to go up nicely. All right, let's see. Love Guru says, remember 1933, Roosevelt's Executive Order 6102 forbidding the hoarding of gold coin, gold bullion, and gold certificates within the continental United States. History may repeat itself. Well, but wasn't it physical gold? I think it was gold bullion. Yeah, and gold. Well, gold certificates. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if that's going to be an issue for U.S. residents to hold, Bitcoin in their ETFs or something or not Bitcoin, gold in their ETFs. And maybe I don't think that's going to happen for Bitcoin. How are you going to control that? All right, LP's got a question here. The Bitcoin appears to be entering the final phase of its bull run. If miners don't contribute to the upward momentum, do you think they will see a sell-off leading to a new low, a potential bankruptcy? Miners are not going to go bankrupt. You can forget about that. That's not going to happen. Smaller miners, maybe, but not the big guys here that I cover. I don't see those guys going bankrupt anytime soon. They have too much cash, too much Bitcoin on the balance sheet, and too much ATMs still with them, so they will survive. No worries there. But as far as could we have a sell-off on these guys, if Bitcoin goes up and the miners don't follow, and man, it's over for us with the miners. They have decoupled from Bitcoin completely for no apparent reason other than institutions shorting the heck out of them. And yeah, I think they will run, but we just need Bitcoin to be at a certain price. All right. Sean Henry asks, Sebastian, what are the top 3 miners to buy at these current prices? Like I said, I think it's still Cleanspark, IREN, Marathon, and then after that you could look at Bitfarms, Hive as well. Those guys have been beaten down to a pulp. And after that you could look at like Bitfarm or BitDeer. Who else? You can look at some of the other ones. Cypher as well after those. Sadie, thank you so much for the reminder there. Likes do help. All right. Sean asks, Sebastian, do you have price predictions for the next high? Your previous predictions seemed a bit optimistic. Did you reevaluate and have new predictions? Are you talking about the Bitcoin or Bitcoin miners? I think Bitcoin is still going to go up, past 150,000 possibly this year. Guessing maybe 180. That was my original goal there. The miners, I've been sandbagging the miners here recently because a lot of people are complaining that I was maybe a little too optimistic with them, and maybe fair enough, maybe I was. So I've been sandbagging those. I'm saying Bitcoin goes up 2x. I think the miners should do at least 2x, right? If not 3x. But they might do a lot better than that. But just being cautious, being conservative on that. Really conservative. All right. D-Roy says, CORZ is stagnant with their share price lately. Why are the other miners in such a rush to secure the same fate? So you're talking about HPCI business, I'm guessing, with that. There is money to be made in that. It's consistent money, too, if you can get a nice deal like CORZ has gotten. But, yeah, CORZ, TeraWolf, who else got beaten down? To a certain extent, I would say BitDeer has been down because of their entrance into HPCI, Hut 8 as well. Right, all those guys have been beaten down here in the last 3-4 months. We had the DeepSeek news come out. Right, we were also seeing Microsoft pull the plug on certain expansion plans with some of their facilities they were going to be building out for data centers. So that's maybe weighing on things also. How much demand is there really for all this stuff? It's interesting. We need one of these guys like IREN or Cypher to come out with a huge deal from somebody. If they don't, it's going to be rough sales for the miners that are getting to HPCI. Simon says, question, Seb, there's obviously something we aren't seeing here with the miners. After seeing these size drops, institutions definitely sold shares too. Possibly. We'll have to look at where the institutions are right now compared to, well, at the end of the month, we'll look at it where they were in April or the beginning of April and where they ended up basically beginning of May as well. So we'll see if they've sold out. Last report that we did, the miners or the institutions were still buying into the miners. Much less so than they have in the past, but they were buying into them. So we'll see if they continue to buy into them here or if they've been selling here on that one. SH says, if Trump is able to remove Jerome Powell, the market will collapse and gold and Bitcoin will fly. Yeah, the concern there is obviously the separation of the duties, I guess you could say, from the president and the Fed, right? Those have been typically separated. The Fed is independent of anything that the president wants for the most part. So yeah, that would not be a good sign, I think, for the free markets potentially. Sean says, I'm asking about the miners. So let's see here. Sean, your question was, the miners, yeah, so I talked about the miners a little bit here. All right. Especially why did IREN get smashed so hard the last 3 months? I think it's because lack of concrete evidence or concrete news about them getting a HPCI deal with a hyperscaler, right? They talked about it on their Q4 or fiscal year. No, it wasn't Q4. There was, I think, their Q2 conference call at the end of the year here where they said that they got an email from a hyperscaler interested in their site. And since then, nothing has materialized. So I think maybe that's part of it, of why it's possibly going down. Plus, all the miners are going down as well. It's not just them by themselves. Gary has a question. Why do you never comment on Q4 that HODL miners only made profit because of FSB, but use that as a reason for bet? No, I mentioned that during the times that HODL, especially for Mara, Cleanspark as well, right? Their benefit was the FSB. So I did mention it at that time. Should I use the reason for bad? Question Q1. Reality, none of the HODL miners can mine a coin anywhere close to what IREN does. Yeah, you're right there. IREN has the best economics right now as it is. The Cleanspark has said that they should be getting positive EPS without the FSB. We shall see, right? Do they get there? Has the scale gotten to the point where they can be positive on the EPS without the FSB, which would be great. Let's see here. Chris says, bye-bye 88K. Well, we're still up 0.63%. We're up $552. We're not doing too bad here on it as it is right now. Let me see. Where's Bitcoin here? Bitcoin right now. This is on the 1 minute. Yeah, it's been coming down on the 1 minute chart. You can see that. It was at 88.6. We're down to 88,000. But they kind of bottomed out here on the RSI a little bit. We're starting to bounce back up. We came back down a little bit. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens. But let's see. All right, what else we got here? We got another comment from somebody. Let's see. Love Guru suggestion to replace Powell. Nope, do not want that responsibility. That's a tough responsibility to have. Not to screw up the economy and everything else. That is too much pressure. I would not want that. I don't envy Powell or anybody else that's in that place, in that position, to be in charge of all that. That is tough, right? So you definitely got to know what you're doing. You got to have a lot of data points, and you got to hope and pray that it works out the way you thought it was going to work out on that one. All right, guys. I think we'll call it a day. Got to cut up with all your guys' questions here, so we will call it a day, and we'll see what happens tomorrow with the miners, with Bitcoin. See if Bitcoin can get above 92,000 this week. That would be great. Yeah, we'll see. All right. Let's see. We got one more question coming up here. Let's see. IREN price of BTC is at 200,000. Well, that would be roughly, what would that be? 100% gains for Bitcoin, a little bit over 100%. At that point, I would think, bare minimum, it should be at least 2x from where it is right now, right? I would say 3x I think is doable, and then whatever beyond that we get would be even better. But it could do better, especially if they provide really good numbers for their Q3, our Q1, I think. If they provide good EPS, that's going to be great, right? They're getting to 50 exahash by the end of this first half. And then if they actually get a hyperscaler or somebody big to take up some of that megawatts there at Clearwater, the stock's off to the races at that point. It could do even much, much better at that point, I would imagine. Okay? So that is it. We'll call it a day. Thank you so much for coming in, as always. Greatly appreciate you guys. Love you all. I hope you guys have a great Tuesday. Hopefully it's going to be a nice one. Hopefully miners are in the green tomorrow, but we'll see. I'll see you guys tomorrow, nonetheless.